Good morning, all. Glad to be with you this morning. Have a little housekeeping to deal with, and we'll get started. All right. We've got so much wonderful stuff going on right now. I'm happy you could be here today, no matter what day you've come. If it's the actual day or if it's the recording that you're watching, it's okay. I want you to know that there is an infinite source available to everyone. It's there for each who seek it, no matter their race, gender, or even their religion. You can believe what you may, but you should know that the source of the universe is also the source of each of us. Therefore, the power, the principle that supports the stars is the power and the principle supporting and available to each of us. As I declare this statement in the first person, I declare it for all. I am open and receptive to this divine living principle. Father, Mother, God, I am grateful. Mm, so grateful. This is my declaration. This is my truth. And as I accept it, so it becomes. And all is well and well indeed. I want to welcome you back to this place, to some of you, and then to others I want to welcome for the first time. If you're catching this, the recording of it, we appreciate so much that you have decided to spend a moment with us to indulge in practical spiritual living from Unity of Chicago South. I'm Reverend Arcan, and I consider myself as your guide. And as we continue this journey, we move from theory into expression. That's what practical spiritual living is all about. We began this journey, this latest journey, with awareness or a learning to see and then release, learning to let go. And last week, then we dealt with reframing, learning to see what you see differently. And today we move into alignment, learning to live in accordance with what we now come to understand. Mm. What we now come to understand, the journey into alignment. There's a power for good in the universe, and we can use it. From Ernest Holmes. You can't separate peace from freedom because no one can be at peace unless they have their freedom. Malcolm X. When you know better, you do better. Maya Angelou. Just ponder. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. Different voices, different contexts, but pointing to the same truth. There is a principle, there is awareness, and there is responsibility to live in alignment with what we know. To live in alignment with what we know. Alignment, what is it? Alignment is when your thoughts, your awareness, and your actions are moving in the same direction. It is when what you say you believe and how you actually live begin to mesh, come together, match. You see, sometimes what we feel and what we say are not necessarily the same. Because many of us, people of melon, have learned how to survive in misalignment. That's to think one thing, feel another, and present something else to the world. This is not because we wanted to, but because we had to, in many cases still have to, navigate environments that did not always affirm, do not always affirm who we were and who we are. I've used this example before. There's no difference between you and Elon Musk. You say, hold it. Not just dealing with his wealth, but dealing with the character of the person, dealing with the focus of the person, dealing with who that person presents as. And I say there's no difference. It's only difference in what we have done with our human experience. Because we're all human. And humanity, human beings are basically the same, made up basically the same components. You said basically. Sometimes there's a component missing, and that creates a defect, I will say, abnormal situation. But for the most part, we are all the same based on our human characteristics. And then we have the opportunity to do so many things with them. But as I was saying, as people of melon, we sometimes still have to live in misalignment in what we feel and what we think is not what we present, you see. But that's survival, and survival is not the same as alignment. Alignment is a return to the truth within and the willingness to live from that truth. To live from that truth. The principle does not withhold. Spiritual principle, God, the universe, invisible creative energy, does not withhold, but it responds to what we are aligned with. That's a deep moment when we accept that the stuff in my life is the stuff I'm aligned with. No matter what I think, no matter what my conversation is, I'm aligned with these things that present in my life. Wow. What if I change what I was aligned with? What if I went through the process of awareness and reframing and release so that I could readjust what I'm aligned with? When what I can align with something new. I wonder what would happen. Well, if it's true that the things in my life show what I'm aligned with, then if I align with new things, they should show in my life. Mm. Now, as you're watching, this is the part where we open the space. And I say as you're watching, because if you're watching the recorded replay, you'll just hear the questions. You won't hear the responses, the discussion that's going on. And that's to encourage you to join us on our team platform, so that you can participate in the discussion. And if you watch live, you always have the opportunity to submit a comment. And we might not read it on air, but we will work to get an answer to your comment, address your comment. Mm. Now, are these questions that you'll be able to take and pause and write down, or however you want to do it? It's not about just what you think, remember, but it's about what you are living. I think prosperous, but I'm not showing prosperity. Now, this is a time that we share a space and we share a time and we open the floor for a discussion, an interchange. And as I mentioned, I'm going to pose these questions and I'm going to allow you to be able to pause and give them some thought. And if you like, you could send us comments later on. But can you think of a time when you knew something was right for you, but you weren't fully living in alignment with it? Was there a time in your life that you said, this is it, this is what I need, this is the house, this is the job, this is the car, this is the relationship, this is the opportunity, but it didn't fulfill itself? And you said, well, what happened? Why? And the fact of the matter was, there was not the alignment necessary for it to appear in your life. Now, sometimes that alignment is not being aligned is kind of good occasionally because it was a bad situation. But that's not the point. The point is, if I want these things to appear in my life, or better yet, whatever I want to appear in my life, I want to work to become aligned with that thing. And after you give that some thought, the second question is, can you think of what tends to pull you out of alignment, even when you know better? Even when you know better. Even when you know better. Wow. I know it's hitting hard to some folks right about now. What is it I want to have in my life, right? I need to get aligned with it. I've been given the process of how I work to get into alignment. What? Awareness, release, and then refocusing. That's steps to take me to the opportunity to be in alignment. And especially if I understand that the reason certain things haven't happened in my life is because I was not aligned. And then to go to the next step and ask myself, well, why? I knew it was a good situation. Why couldn't I become aligned with that? And then our final question for you to ponder: what might shift in your life if you choose to act in alignment more consistently? Notice that, more consistently. So it's taking the pressure off that I have to be in alignment every minute of the day, every minute of my life. It's saying more consistently, so that those things that you want to appear in your life, you become aligned with instead of being misaligned. Not just thinking of things, but to work to become aligned with. So you see them differently, you reframe, you release any apprehension you have about achieving it, letting go, release the past, release how you look at it, and then you become aware. You see it. So you start with the seeing, then you get into the release, and then you move into the reframing to see it differently, and that moves you into alignment. That moves you into alignment. And understand this, that alignment is not about becoming something new. It's about becoming consistent with what is already true within you. Okay, let's deal with that. Already true. There's a desire within you that wants to connect with whatever it is that you say you want. That desire is a spiritual movement. It doesn't matter whether it's material, a car, a house, clothes, money. Those are showing as material, but they all start in spirit. They all start as invisible ideas. And your desire is an invisible idea of wanting those things. You can see how they come from the same place. But it's the idea of becoming aligned with those things. It's the idea of, or the decision to no longer divide yourself between what you know and how you live. I know I deserve better, but I'm just going to just cut the corners. I'm just going to take a little less. I'm just going, why? Why? Because it's so hard for me to be aligned with this prosperity that I want, with this car that I want, with this house that I want, with this good relationship I want. It's so hard. So I just take less. You're out of alignment. We're out of alignment when we do that. You see. And we know when alignment is present. You say, how do we know? Because the thing is there? We know because we stop forcing, I gotta get it. I gotta get it. I gotta get it. And we begin allowing it to come forth. Yeah. Allowing it to come forth. What we do each week as we deal with practical spiritual living from Unity of Chicago South, we provide a affirmation, which is a question that you ask yourself. And today you've had several questions to ask yourself. And we close with one that you can take with you and allow that spirit within you to answer. And today it is, why am I now choosing to live in greater alignment with truth, clarity, and purpose? Why am I now choosing? That's the question to ask yourself. That's the question to ask your spirit. That's the question to allow your soul to answer. Yes. Awareness. Awareness allows us to see. Release allows us to move. Reframing allows us to see differently. And alignment allows us to live in that thing that we see differently. want to thank you guys so much for being a part of today. Uh, it's so important that we get a chance to share. It's so important that we get a chance to share. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to move into alignment that is not occasionally presenting, but intentionally being acted upon. And with that said, I want to say namaste from Unity of Chicago South Spiritual Community, Beyond Wall Spiritual Community, from that family. Thank you so much for being a part of us, and come back again. I'm Reverend R. Ken. Until next time, blessings and bliss.